Sometimes we need a quick adjustment, and the easiest way to do that is to hop our bike off the ground and put it back down where we want it. In today's video, we're going to learn about correction hops. You'll be able to use this to reset where your mountain bike is on the trail, but it also lays the foundation for much bigger movements down the line. Occasionally when we're riding up and over things, we need that one last hop to get our bike into the right position, and today's skill is going to do that. It also allows you to stay in one place, so when you can't track stand on the trail, the correction hop could solve for that too. My name is Aaron. Welcome to Super Rider. On this channel, we break down complex bike skills into easy to learn techniques so you can quickly apply it to your own riding. In previous videos, we talked a lot about wheel placement, and today we're going to work on that skill by coming at it from a completely different technique. The first thing we'll start working on is a basic hop, and then we'll take it side to side and forward and back. We've got a couple drills today, and the last one in particular is really fun. I think you're going to like it. Before we start hopping, let's talk bike basics. I want your hands to be as wide on the handlebars as you can possibly go, just using your index fingers to hold onto the brakes. This is going to give you maximum control over the bike. I also want you to practice this skill with flat pedals. Riders that use clipless can do a version of this skill, but it puts a lot of pressure on the spring mechanism in the actual pedal itself. The way we're going to learn it today will allow you to do this on any bike, and it's actually better technique even if you do ride with clipless. In addition to the bike basics, let's talk about what we're doing with our body. I want you to think about your body like a giant spring. We're going to keep our knees and elbows loose when we're riding, as we'll be using our body like suspension, compressing down and springing up to bring the bike along with us. The first thing we need to lock in is how to get our back wheel up off the ground consistently. Eventually we'll be taking both wheels off the ground at the same time, but the back one's a little bit harder to get off the ground, so we're going to focus our effort there. We use a motion called the pedal scoop to guide our back wheel up off the ground. Usually we unweight that back wheel to help get it off the ground, and the pedal scoop is more of a guide. But in this situation where both wheels are coming off the ground and our body will kind of be in the middle of the bike, the pedal scoop has to work a little bit harder with this technique. So how do you do a pedal scoop? It's the motion of pushing down, back, and up on your pedals, and that helps guide that back wheel into the air. Really focus in specifically on what your back foot is doing with that scooping motion. Let's focus in on the pedal scoop motion and getting our back wheel off the ground. Now in this case, we want to stack the deck in our favor just so we can get the feeling of lifting it off the ground. So we're going to unweight the back wheel by putting all of our body weight to the front of the bike. That's going to make the back wheel as light as possible and make it easiest to get it off the ground. That way we can just focus in on using that pedal scoop technique to lifting the back wheel. So you'll roll slowly and you'll lift the back wheel up off the ground. Try to get it once and then try to do it a couple times in a row. Once you've got that back wheel coming off the ground consistently, it's time to bring both wheels off the ground at the same time. Remember, we talked about using our body like a spring, so let's roll slow and compress our body down into the bike to load everything up. Elbows wide, knees bent. When we pop up, focus in on that pedal scooping motion so the back wheel comes up with everything else. Try to keep your weight centered if possible, but if you need to lean a little forward to get the back wheel off the ground, that's okay at this stage. This is the most important part of the skill. I would even recommend filming yourself doing it. That way you can connect what you think is happening to what's actually happening, which is ideally both tires coming off the ground about the same distance. Once you've got this completely locked in, it's time to refine the skill. Our next step is going to be slowing down the roll and continuing to hop. Try to slow to an almost complete stop before you try the hop. This will challenge not only your technique, but your control and balance too. When you're ready, try to get 2 slow rolling hops in a row. As soon as you land the first, compress into the bike and go right back for that second rolling hop. Now that you've got the basic hop figured out, it's time to start moving around with that hop. This is going to get you out of so many tight spots on the trail. I think you're going to be surprised how often you use this skill. The first thing we want to do is slow to a complete stop with our brakes locked. Try to get a couple hops in place, then roll out of it. This is going to get tiring, but as your technique improves, you become a lot more efficient with this movement. Next, slow to a stop and lock your brakes. See how many times you can hop before you have to pedal again or put your foot down. Make it a game and keep track of how many times you can hop in a row. One thing that you've likely picked up is the lower you hop, the easier it is to maintain control of the bike. You don't have to have huge hops here, just enough to get the wheels off the ground. The real secret here is getting into that mindset of using these hops to correct your balance. Once you go from focusing in on each individual hop to Wait a minute, if I hop to the left or the right, that helps me maintain my balance. That's the moment in which your high score of how many hops in a row you can do begins to skyrocket. There's a saying in mountain biking that goes something like, lead with your body and the bike will follow, and that's exactly how we're going to think about hopping in each direction. So for example, if you want your bike to move forward, you put all your body weight on the front of the bike, and then you hop and replace the bike perfectly underneath you. If you want to move off to the right, you lean to the right, and then you hop and put the bike underneath you. Same thing to go left, same thing to go backwards. It's all about putting your body there and then pulling your bike back underneath you with the hop. We're going to go through 2 drills that will completely lock this in. Number 1, the X. Make an X on the ground and hop down the line to start. Then turn yourself with little hops and work on going over and back on the same line. I'm sure you could see that there are a lot of other ways that you could hop up and over this line, so feel free to mix it up now that you've got this X on the ground. Drill number 2 is a fun one, and it's called the ABCs. What you're going to do is imagine that you have a paintbrush on the bottom of your bike, and you're going to hop in a way that would trace out an A, then a B, then a C. When we're out on the trail and riding rocks and roots, it's never just a straight line when you're hopping. It's usually some kind of weird angle, and that's why the ABC drill is so useful. The other fun thing we can do with this technique is climbing. See if you can find a small incline and use the exact same technique to hop your bike up to the top. If this video is helpful for you, consider sharing it with somebody you ride with. If you want to continue progressing, make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss the next lesson. And if you can't wait that long, go check out this playlist right here. In any case, go out there and have fun, and don't forget, practice makes progress.